Only flatworm. Okay, so this is the Tom Turnbull training training routine. You could do this same sequence of events every practice, and you're going to see your players develop rapidly because it focuses on the fundamentals. And when you focus on the fundamentals, you're going to have more fun. What else you want to talk about? Fundamentals. Have more fun. But before you begin that, you actually want to start in a different place. You got to teach all your kids how to breathe, right? Because most soccer players, even at the collegiate level, don't know how to breathe, and that's not surprising because the U.S. school system or coaching system doesn't really teach it. So if you take your whole team to take a deep breath and their shoulders go up towards the sky, if their deep breathing looks like this, or I'm sorry, if their shoulders are raising up towards the sky, you want to have them put their hands on their belly and just demonstrate with them to go. Because breathing through your belly is going to help them improve their endurance and stamina effortlessly. It's also going to help them stay calm in high pressure situations on and off the field. If you want to learn more science behind it, search Dr. Vranich, Vranich, how to breathe. And the reason why breathing is the #1 skill for soccer players, because 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 weeks without food or water, you'd be dead. 3 minutes without air. That's why breathing is the most important skill that most coaches, players, and parents aren't thinking about. So if you could only take one thing away from this video, that would be it. Learn that breathing technique so that you can teach it effectively. The second thing you want to keep in mind is just a good warm-up, right? There's a really fun warm-up. It's called Edo Portal Beginner Locomotion or Locomotion Routine. And this is going to get your middle school kids giggling, but it's in a very tight time window. You're going to go through multiple ranges of motion, and this guy Edo Portal, you Google him, you'll know it's some pretty serious movement stuff. So give that a look. Okay, so now the Tom Turnbull training routine, right? Like what most middle school coaches don't realize is that they're not soccer coaches, because most middle school players haven't developed, right? Your worst player through your best player probably doesn't have solid fundamentals of soccer. When I think of fundamentals, me personally, I think of breathing, movement, and then it's dribbling and juggling. And I break up passing and shooting into juggling, because you could say juggling is rhythmic passing, or you could say juggling is rhythmic shooting, whatever. So that being said, if you could use this simple training routine every practice, you're going to see your players improve. Because the worst case scenario is if you win a couple games, if you put all the pressure on trying to develop your team like as if you're a soccer coach, but you're not even there yet, because right they don't have the solid fundamentals down. So every practice, this is a framework to use. It's warm up, then 10-15 minutes of ball mastery, then you go right into dribbling sequences, then you go right into juggling games, so the barrel game, and then you finish with 1v1 to cones, and that's it. If you do this every single practice, you're going to see your players, they're going to have a lot of fun, and your parents are going to be pleased. And not to say that that's the goal per se, but these are solid fundamentals that are easy to teach and fun to do, right? It's just ball mastery and skills and skills development through fun games. So for ball mastery, you want to search Covert Coaching, Coerver. He's got a freemium app on the Apple App Store, or I think he's also on the Android store, or you could YouTube it. So the pattern, right, the tempo for each practice is you teach one ball mastery move, and then the next following practice you review the last one, and then you teach a new one. So by the end of the season, for ball mastery, you say, okay, everyone show me your L move, and then they're dribble, dribble, L move, dribble, dribble, L move, and then you say, okay, everyone show me your chop, so they chop, and they chop, dribble, dribble, chop, and then you can say, okay, everyone show me your L move drag, so it's L move drag, dribble, dribble, L move drag. So that's a progression. It's it stacks on the learning previous, and then so by the end they should have, right? You call 1 season of practices. They should be able to learn, in a season of practices, assuming you have practice at least 5 times a week. 25, 50 ball mastery moves, and they'll probably gravitate towards 1 or 2. Okay, so that's the first 10 to 15 minutes of practice. Then you go right into the Tom Turnball dribbling sequence. The reason why this sequence is so powerful is because it's easy to say, and it's easy to say out loud, and since it's easy to say, it's easy to memorize. It helps the body, it'll help develop a mind-body connection, so players, right, it's effective because players aren't going to think about dribbling, right? They're just going to be able to start to dance around defenders, right? Because the more they get into your head, the less effective you become on the field, right? So it's a rhythmic pattern. So let me get a ball or some type of makeshift ball so I can show you this. Okay. So the key is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Even when I tell players to encourage them to go slowly, they'll still go fast. They'll still try and go fast, right? The natural competitiveness of players on a team, they'll try to just beat each other because usually that's the goal, right? Get something done fast. So this is the sequence, right? Nice and easy. You say it out loud when you do it. Outside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, outside, inside, outside, inside. You want to be able to learn this so that you could teach it effectively. And once you've taught it, right, let's say you have, I don't know what size field you have, it could be, right, let's say you have access to a half of a field or a full field. What I would do when I taught my middle school boys, I would say, I want you to do Tom Turnball dribbling sequence, do it all the way around the field, and depending on time, if we started on time or just playing with time, if you have access to only half of a field, you could tell them do the Tom Turnball dribbling sequence. You do 2 laps around half the field, and I like to mix, but I don't want them to favor certain sides or certain, right, if they always do clockwise or counterclockwise. So every alternating practices, some practices I'll have them do outside, outside, inside, counterclockwise, and then the next practice I would have them go clockwise, right? So just play around. That's something that you could keep in mind and play around with, right? So you tell them, slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and you gotta encourage them to say it out loud when they do it. You should be able to hear your whole team, assuming that it's not too noisy at the field wherever you are. You should literally hear them saying it out loud, right? Because just by saying it out loud, it's really gonna help them internalize it, and you're gonna start to see players on the field bust out this dribbling sequence, right? They're literally in gameplay gonna go outside, outside, inside, inside, and then pass or create space, and then finish on goal. Okay, so next thing is juggling games, and the one game that I played at Tom Turnball Skills and Drills Academy, that is just so much fun, right? Even to this day, 27 years later, you could play this every practice, and it won't let you down because it's so much fun and it's so simple. So, okay, let's pretend this roll of duct tape is the ball. You want to have the players, right? Let's say you have access to the whole field. This is ideal because then you could put a garbage can, you could put a barrel, you could buy a $20 Brute barrel from your local hardware store, and you put it in the center right at the center circle, in the center of the center circle, because then the center circle, it creates, if there's a, assuming your field has the circle around the center dot where the ball starts, it creates a natural line, and you could have all your players stand, maybe a little bit inside depending on their skill level, and every ball player should have a ball in their hand, right? So basically all you're doing is you're challenging each player to juggle the ball into the barrel with different parts of their body. And you could use a bounce for players who are just developing their juggling abilities. So why this is a great game, because it teaches juggling with forward ambulation. Forward ambulation, all that means is walking forward, right? So if you ever seen the movie Drumline, it's like, some drummers can drum stationary, but now when you have to start to walk forward, it adds a dynamic that can take someone's soccer abilities to the next level, because now if you have the ability to take the ball out of the air off the juggle and orient yourself to where you want to go, in theory towards the goal, this could be a competitive advantage. So we started with our feet with a bounce at Tom Turnball's Dribbling Academy, but since the surface area of your quads are bigger than your feet, I've been thinking a lot about starting with the pans, with the balls in the hands, and doing the quads. So let's say you have between, I had a lot of players on my team. I think I've had close to 30 middle school boys players line up in a circle around one landscaper barrel, and they would all juggle. So the progression is either, you could go right foot with a bounce, left foot with a bounce, both feet alternating with the bounce. So it would look like right foot bounce, left foot bounce, right foot in. Or if the poorer the quality, so the more novice a player, the closer you want to start them. The better they become over time. You could start to take away the bounce and have them step further away from the barrel, right? So the progression is right foot, left foot, both feet alternating, and this is with or without a bounce, and then it's right thigh, left thigh, both thighs alternating, with or without a bounce. And you don't want to use a whistle because you want to have players go at their own pace, right? So this is a great game because if Tommy's slower than Bobby can focus on his fundamentals, while Tommy's focusing on can go at their own pace. So this game scales great for beginner and advanced players at the same time. It's almost like playing with a handicap in golf, or one player's playing from the blues, one player's playing from the reds, whatever. So then after this, you go right into 1v1 with cones. So you need enough cones, one cone per each player, and then you use a sideline to make that has a natural guide. You stack, right? So you have to invest in some tall cones, the ones you could knock over, and then you take every 3 steps you put a cone down, and then a few yards away in whatever direction you put cones, so that you have natural 1v1 grids, and then your players, maybe 5 minutes, 3 games, 3 rounds of games, 5 minutes each, and you switch 3 times, and that's a session. And then you could do a Ben Patrick ROKP cooldown. ROKP stands for reversing out of knee pain, but it strengthens the whole body in an effortless way. It's a very effective cooldown, right? Have the whole team walk backwards the length of the field, and then walk backwards the same group will walk all the way backwards, and that should be an hour 15 session. Even if you're surgical, right, you could still run over, because by the time energetic young middle schoolers could probably do this session 3 times over without getting tired, right? So to squeeze this into an hour 15, hour and a half is challenging, even if you're being mindful of time. And I would not stop session at all for water, because what you're actually doing is you're simulating gameplay. You gotta say whatever you guys want to go to the bathroom or get water. Don't even ask, just go. But then you really kind of want to have them raise the tempo of training, so that when they get to games, it's the practice should be the conditioning. The practice is the fitness. So hopefully this helps. Reach out with any questions. Bye.